Welcome back, everyone, to our continuing adventures on the Let's Defend platform. Today we are working underneath the SOC Analyst role, and we are tackling what's dang near almost 30-day-old alert. We are tackling the high SOC175 PowerShell found in requested URL, possible CVE 2022-41082 Exploitation, or otherwise known as proxy not shell. Let's see, so this is September 30th. And, geez, hostname, Exchange Server 2, which proxy not shell is targeted to Exchange servers. So this is worse and worse. So let's see, we have source IP, zgrab. At least the action was blocked. So let's see, we have auto discovery against an exchange box, which is what we'd kind of expect. Although, why the evil.com for OWA? Protocol XYZ, foo protocol, PowerShell. Well, it doesn't look normal in the slightest. And so Unit 42 had the most in-depth article for going through and looking at this stuff, at least as I observed. The other aspect is also Leaping Computer. So apparently there are updated mitigations for this. So no patch yet, although we are coming up on another patch Tuesday in another couple of weeks. Although if this is bad enough, they'll push something out of schedule, I would think. Adapted updated below is the main difference between the improved recommendation and the initial one. So what? So basically, they make the request to go through and get. So ultimately, the end result is remote code execution. Okay. It looks like everybody's got something put together thus far. Okay, so Unit 42's so Palo Alto's SOC discovered, which looks remarkably similar to what we ended up seeing in the request. So the mentions of evil.com. Vulnerability exists in passing the string autodiscover.json to the email field in the URL. By bypassing that string, Exchange does not perform significant or sufficient checks on the address. And through its normalization process, this leads to arbitrary access to backend URLs as system. Ow. That's not good. That's not good at all. So I'll make sure to include the links to this. This and the Bleeping Computer article. You go through and take a look at your portion. So the very first thing is, okay, alert trigger risen. Request URL contains PowerShell. I mean, technically it does, the word PowerShell. I don't really see much of anything in there that says, or PowerShell commands that I can see, but we haven't really deep dived into this much. So let's see, we're going to need log management, we're going to need endpoint, and we're going to need to check the mailbox to see as to whether or not if there's any sort of testing going on. So this would be September 30th, so let's get that out of the way first. So let's take a look at the inbox to see if there was anything September 30th. 2022, right? Yes. It looks like the last email we got was August 11th, 2022. So nothing else in the entire month of September, assuming that these are organized correctly, which they do appear to be. Nothing in the trash. And I don't think that they... Okay, so there's no, like, spam filter to check to see as to whether or not it's somebody. Okay, so it does not look like this was an approved, like, testing against the environment, as we don't have any sort of notification. Next portion would be, let's grab the source IP address, since we're the only SOC analyst taking a look at these. If you've seen many of the videos that you've probably observed, I kind of walk through most of this stuff first before grabbing it and going forward. Obviously, in the real world, you would grab it and then you would work it, and then if you have to sit there and either get a SOC Analyst 2, 3, basically hit the big red button to declare an incident, whatever the case has got to be. You typically grab the ticket first, work it, and then escalate, remediate, whatever the case is. But seeing as how I don't have to worry about somebody coming in and sniping this, I'll just kind of do a slight adjustment to the order. So we're going to take the source IP address 58.237.200.6, and we are going to run it through a bunch of external threat intelligence sources. So of course the big one is VirusTotal. It not only does files, it does IPs and domains. And so we see that it has 2 malware and 2 malicious detections. And so apparently it is, what, South Korea? And we'll take a look at the community section, IP carrying out SSH brute force attacks. So that was September. Tried login to SSH to threats2.poisoni.info. Detected South Korea times stemp. Assuming that meant stump or stamp. And another one 4 months ago. Well, from the same person. Parthmenar. Okay, Talos. Questionable web reputation, poor email reputation, again confirming South Korea. It must have been on Talos's blacklist at least at some point as the status has expired. So this is not looking to be a good detection. Well, this is actually looking to be a great detection, just from a poor source. Let's see. So, alien fault. It's in the telemetry for the last 30 days. Again, confirming South Korea. And it is a known scanner or attack, at least according to the tags associated with it. Apparently, there are 12 pulses that have been generated, which mostly look like, yeah, adding to the aspect of this being a port scanner. Looks like it typically targets SSH. Let's see, then of course we go to IBM X-Force Exchange. Okay, again confirming South Korea, broadband, dynamic, and given the fact that this was about 30 days ago, well, I would kind of expect that if they had anything, it'd be showing up here, so they don't have much of anything. Gray Noise has the IP as malicious. And given the fact that we did see previous people talking about attempted brute forcing from SSH, I guess it's kind of telling port scan 22 TCP SSH. Yep, okay. SSH brute forcer. Really? Compromised Raspberry Pi? Interesting. Okay, so we know that it's a bad source. And we know that it was blocked, thankfully. So let us go ahead and search for anything coming into this. Expanded out. There's been a lot of stuff. So let's see. There was traffic in May. box. It looks like it did an outbound connection via 443, but then we hit September 30th, and we are seeing 443 as opposed to mail ports or anything else like that. So apparently this pivoted from SSH into other exploitation. So what do we have? So autodiscover.json, get, and it was blocked. And again, the autodiscover.json @ evil.com/EWS/exchange, blah, 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 blah. And again, blocked. And a little bit more. This is the one that alerted due to the PowerShell denotion. And of course, the thing that we'd all love to see, blocked. Ah. All right, so let me get my notes opened here. And since this is the perimeter firewall, we'll add that in. And so what I am going to do is I'm going to pause this as I fiddle with the logging I am doing for my own internal aspect. And then I'll pick back up and I'm ready to move on to the next portion. Shouldn't be but a few minutes, but of course, due to pausing, it'll be instantaneous. And there we go. Now I've got all that recorded underneath the perimeter firewall logs. So if I actually had to sit there and write out a report, I could do so with very minimal effort. Now we're going to isolate this down to Exchange Server 2, so we can go kind of poke at that. And then I want to change tactics because we searched for the Exchange Server 2 address. Oh, wait, no, that was the other one. That wasn't, okay. And that just confirms, okay, we do it by the South Korean IP address, and that's all we end up getting. It's just those 3 hits that we observed earlier, all going to the Exchange Server 2. So, hooray. We got all that stuff. Let's take a look. Browser history. Is there anything here that looks out of place? Archive.php. Consumer finance. Bang Lie. Django. Web.facebook. Okay. It's not, I think it would be more of a policy violation than anything. Why on God's green earth are you sitting there doing web surfing on an Exchange server? So apparently we need to kind of take the Exchange people back behind the shed, and we need to educate them with the hose of knowledge. Yes, it's a euphemism for beating them. Oh. And of course, by that I mean we're going to sit there and we're going to politely and calmly lay out the reasons as to why that is a very bad idea. And if that doesn't fail, then we escalate. Oh, not much of anything in here makes me feel all that happy with the fact that it was searched on an Exchange box. But there's nothing that stands out. Yeah, there's nothing on the 30th, so okay, so no web traffic. How about history commands? Well, yeah. Exchange server commands, but these were on the 22nd as opposed to the 30th, so this is well before. So nothing there that's of any sort of benefit. And if we look at the network connections, they're all based in 2021, so none of these have anything to do with it. And again, apparently this is another box in the organization that has semantic. Not that it seems to be doing much, but hey. So let's see, they have Adobe Reader running, Chrome, Notepad, and then of course PowerShell. Get child item desktop. Yes, and so what you don't see me doing in the background is I'm just pulling up a PowerShell window, and I'm just going to run that through just to make sure that it doesn't set off any extra bad tingles. Just to make sure. So while that's doing that, let's look at the, well, that was the process list. So in other words, there's absolutely nothing going on there. Nope, wrong port. I mean, I'm assuming it's just going to go through and just tell you the location of the desktop. And it just outputs the contents of the desktop. So my Brave browser, IrfanView, Nmap, PDF Stream Dumper, Sandboxy, Slack, World of IQ, and of course my cod.3 aka 3.scr file. It's for something else that I was working on. I had to try to figure out what it was. Well, I think it was Immersive Labs. Training assigned for work. They wanted the original file name, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, so it just lists out the items that are on the current user's context desktop. So yeah, there is nothing in here. So thankfully the perimeter did what the perimeter is supposed to do. It filtered out the crap. Apparently. But that's good. That's actually very good. That means we don't have to escalate. It means we don't have to sit there and take it up to anybody else. So we'll go ahead and take ownership. So again, the real way this is supposed to be approached and how it will be in the event that you're in a SOC or anything else like that, you will typically take ownership of the alerts/tickets that you need to go through do, and then you will sit there and progress through them in terms of analyzing and then moving forward. So let's get a case created and we'll start the playbook. Understand why the alert was triggered. Let's see, it blocked all the other ones, so due to the fact of evil.com, or it could be the aspect that we don't do anything with South Korea, so we've just been proactive, or what is it? Proactive, and taken preventative measures to prevent connections from or countries or organizations that we have absolutely no business with. So like going through and trying to block out the entire Russian IP space, or China, or Japan, or Korea, whatever the case. But the particular alert in question was triggered due to the word PowerShell being in the request at the very end. So outbound coming in, and it was blocked. Collect data. Well, let's see. I think, yes, we've done the ownership of the IP addresses and devices. The destination IP is the Exchange Server 2. The source is the South Korean IP that has a history of being an SSH scanner. It has not very good reputation all the way around. And it's not coming from the company network. It's coming to the company network. Well, I mean, technically it would be what? Would it be command injection? Through that aspect? Because it's what? Ultimately going to try to reach out to whatever is on evil.com. I mean, remote code execution. Is the traffic malicious? Yes, it looks malicious. What is the attack type? Okay, so it took a second to go through and read before going through. So the 41040 server-side request forgery, so SSRF vulnerability, while the second one, identified as 41082, allows remote code execution, RCE, when Exchange PowerShell is accessible to the attacker. So if it were 41040, then it would be SSRF. But it looks like it should be remote code execution. Because, so the Exchange PowerShell. Is that technically code injection? I guess we're going to roll the dice. I guess I'm going to say other. Planned test. We checked, there was nothing in September for notifications, so not planned. What is the direction of traffic, internet to company network? And we check if it was successful. Well, considering the fact the 3 hits in the perimeter firewall all denote the action as blocked from that source or South Korean IP, the attack was not successful. And then, of course, the only thing that we have to actually add in is going to be the IP address in question. Well, known SSH scanner, so I hope to note that it's got a bad rep. Do we need escalation? I'm not overly happy about the fact that, everybody's using that Exchange server as a web surfing box. But realistically, the SOC should have a talk with the Exchange administrators, much less anybody who has access, to denote that what they're doing is not technically the safest approach. But I don't think that we need to escalate for that one. So known SSH scanner, South Korea, per external threat intel, attempting to exploit, if I could spell properly, proxy, not shell, to Exchange server 2. Perimeter firewall blocked these attempts, but mitigations should be applied for the vulns until a patch is available. Okay, and now we fix our terrible spelling. And what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and grab this, because down at the bottom there is the list. And we'll grab the bleeping computer just to have a abundance of information. And we're just going to copy this. We're going to add it to the background here. We're going to do next, and we're going to finish the playbook. And let's see if it takes. It takes, and it should move forward, and then we're just going to close it. Close the alert. It was a true positive detection. We'll just copy and paste the notes that we did in the last section, and we'll close. Hey, all right. all said and done, we are done. Is there a write-up? Nope. Although I can't imagine I'm the first one to do this, since I think this has probably been here for a good long while. So that's the editor's note. First, let's examine the alert trigger reason and the alert details to understand why the rule was triggered. We see that the presence of the PowerShell word in the HTTP request causes the rule with ID SOC175 to be triggered. When we search the source IP address on platforms such as VirusTotal, Abuse IPDB, it is seen the IP address performs harmful activities and therefore categorized as malicious by some AV engines. When we examine the request URL, we see that it is similar to vulnerabilities such as the 41082 and proxy shell, therefore it is harmful. When we search the source IP address in the endpoint security page and mailbox, we cannot see any results. In addition, we understand that it's not planned activity, or not a planned study, not planned activity, as we have seen this IP address reported by others on Abuse IPDB, which we didn't see because we didn't look there, but we did observe the same sort of notes in VirusTotal, in Alien Vault. So VirusTotal underneath community. Of course, there was nothing here, but Talos just gives us its own aspect. And then, of course, the pulses that everyone had put together in regards to scanning activity and the like. And of course, there was nothing underneath IBM X-Force. And gray noise denotes that it is an unknown actor, but is basically had been shown to go through and do SSH scanning. So yeah, I agree with that up to that point. When the actions section in the alert is examined, it is seen that the request is blocked, yes, which is what we were also happy about on the initial alert. And then when we looked in the perimeter firewall to /proxy, we did observe the 3 connections from the South Korean IP address that were all blocked. Which is basically covered in the next sentence. When we search the IP address of insert South Korean IP in log management, we see that all requests are blocked. For this reason, it is seen the attack did not succeed. Yeah. But that's effectively where it's extremely important to have your defense in depth. So the perimeter firewall saved us, but what if what if it hadn't been updated, or it had no signature or anything else like that to sit there and stop this stuff? I mean, effectively at that particular point, you're relying on an AV agent on the Exchange box or some sort of host intrusion prevention. Past that particular point, then you're praying that, your Exchange admins have gone through and made the mitigation changes previously to the boxes. Because I believe still at this time there is no patch, so you can't just fix it by dumping software. You've actually got to make configuration change somewhere. But so there we go, another one in the books, and the SOC Analyst path now completely cleaned out, at least up until the next time they do a refresh. Kind of makes me wonder how they're doing on the IR side, since the last thing I think I did was, the Windows Forensics. So, but there we go. That has been the SOC175 EventID 125, or PowerShell found in requested URL, possible CVE 2022-41082 Exploitation. And with all that said and done, I will see everybody in the next video. And if you're sticking around past the particular point, I believe I'd mentioned in previous videos, more like okay, we've done all the investigation, the analysis, everything else like that, more of kind of the waffle points to basically just kind of stream consciousness out. I'm thinking probably going to keep Saturdays as the video release date due to just how everything is working out. I am, well, I think I can announce this particular portion, but there will be additional changes made in the soon-to-be future that I will probably go a little bit further into. I think some of it's been kind of hinted at previous, but I'm going to kind of wait until effectively everything is completely lined up and we're good to go. It's all good news, thankfully. So it's just dotting the I's and crossing the T's, as it were. So, but I think with the way that everything is kind of laid out, that this is going to be the best way to go through, because having the release date on Wednesdays just was a little bit too difficult due to a mandatory all hands meeting that was in the books for work. So Saturday seems to work out a lot better all the way through. But I guess if it's too much of a pain in the posterior, I can sit there and see about, going back and maybe making like not a YouTube short, but maybe like a smaller video. I've been kind of toying with the aspect of kind of going through like crap that either makes it through Gmail's junk filter or actually just examining the stuff in the junk mail filter. I mean, we're all kind of lucky that Gmail's reached the particular point that it has now. I mean, I very rarely get any phishing or anything else like that that actually makes it through. Wish I could say the same thing for Microsoft. But it is what it is. But I figured that might be an interesting exercise to kind of just go through, do the analysis, break everything down, and kind of give, I guess, checks just in case something does make it through, because it'd be fairly easy to kind of take that stuff for granted. So, but I don't know, maybe we sit there, we find like a good couple of items from that particular portion and just quickly run through. I've also been debating the aspect in regards to any further additional tools I can call out to. Because it's probably been a good 6 months plus since I've done anything else like that, where I did the sandbox portion for, hybrid analysis and any.run. And I think there was the whole episode entirely on VirusTotal. So it may be beneficial to kind of grab at least the big hitters, at least as I see it, in terms of like external threat intel, to kind of lay all those particular aspects out. I mean, obviously, as a SOC analyst, you're going to have your preferred set that either that you're going to come into and, your fellow analysts are going to assist you with by, front loading that to you. I mean, if you're a first time SOC analyst, but effectively maybe you'd be able to sit there and go equipped and armed with, maybe a couple of other suggestions to kind of add to the tool set. I mean, it doesn't seem like the threats aren't getting any easier, and we just need more and more either available intelligence or available data. So, but, well, good intelligence and good data. We need to whittle down the signal to noise ratio in terms of more signal, less noise. But okay, enough waffling. Hopefully in the next video I'll be able to sit there and, lay out a celebration or note something else like that. And I guess technically if you've made it this particular point, if the running through the junk mail or things that make it past the junk mail filter sounds interesting, or you have suggestions for tools to sit there and, what you'd be kind of looking for, I'm all ears, considering the fact that I'm kind of an old hat at this. So I may have just my preferred set of tools, and there's might be even more out there that I'm not even aware of. So I guess you could also sit there and actually comment in the video or reply back to the Twitter, post in terms of announcing the video. Whatever you want to do. Oh yeah, the other big news is finally passed 1,000 subscribers. So obviously, I do this not to sit there and make money, even though I have to buy me a coffee. But you notice that I never really sit there and shill it. It's I don't know. I do this basically to just try to give back to any potential people that might want to try to become a SOC analyst, or they've got an interest in terms of, information security, cybersecurity, whichever term you want to sit there and use for it. So, obviously, I mean, part of it, yes, is let's defend cyber defenders in terms of having the platforms and, of course, them giving me the authority to go through and make the videos on the stuff. They could decide to say, no, we don't want you to sit there and do this. I mean, them allowing me to do this is what's allowed me to sit there and hopefully create interesting enough content to the point where, 1,000+ people have apparently actually want to sit there and subscribe to this. So, I don't know. I'm extremely grateful, I guess. Because when I started this, I didn't figure that, it would be just tens of people that might be interested, not, 1,000+ at the moment. So, I don't know. I guess if you make the particular point as to, okay, I guess the question would ask is, why do you watch? I mean, is it just the whole aspect that, okay, you're also a user of the Let's Defend platform and you want to see about somebody else's thoughts? Quicker way would probably be to go join the Discord channel. Hint, hint, wink, wink. At least for Let's Defend. I'm not entirely sure if Cyber Defenders has one. Yes, they do. Okay. I'm there in both of them. So effectively, if you are so inclined, I would highly suggest you sit there and join. Sit there and be able to sit there and talk to other people that have the same sort of interests. But let me turn this down a little bit. It looks like I'm kind of redlining. Though I'm not intending to. Thought I was doing a fairly good job of keeping my voice even, but okay, so enough waffling. Effectively, thank you everyone. I did not expect this to even reach 1,000 people, as I've said. So the fact that there's that much of an interest, the fact that, you're not, we'll use some self-depreciating humor. The fact that you're not scared away about the fact that I got the camera on. Much less the fact you could sit there and listen to me sit there and kind of drone on some of this stuff. But, I swear, I'm not a dumb AI. There is really person, flesh and blood. But, okay, enough waffling. With all that being said, I will see everybody in the next video. Done waffling for sure, I swear.